OpenAI is probably the most consequential AI company in the world right now. So these sorts of really big changes that were very rapid, unforeseen, are quite unsettling.
Let's unpack it a bit further and start with OpenAI itself. It said its mission was a public one to help society, but it has enjoyed huge success with ChatGPT. Was its goal, in the end, simply unrealistic?
Yeah, it's a pretty bold claim that they made. They've talked about making artificial general intelligence, that is AI that is significantly smarter than humans are, and they want to make it safe and they want it beneficial for humanity. That is really bold. And so they had a very unusual company structure to achieve that aim. It's a capped profit organisation, which means that it has some of the features of a not-for-profit, some of the features of an ordinary commercial organisation. But their mission was very, very clear. It was that very humanity-driven mission. And that's unique probably for a reason, because it's very difficult really to, I guess, square that circle, to get the beneficial intent right while also pursuing some kind of commercial imperative.
Did you think commercialisation would win out in the end?
Oh, look, I'm not a futurist. I think it's incredibly difficult to predict. But what was clear is that when you have a company, it was only started a few years ago, it generated over $90 billion US in value very, very quickly. That has to be quite destabilising for any organisation. And as we've seen, it has been.
Microsoft has a 49% stake in OpenAI, but with Sam Altman on board at the company proper, will there be a much stronger push to innovate and innovate quickly?
I think that's likely. I think the difference between OpenAI and Microsoft is simple but profound. Microsoft is an ordinary company. It's, as is the case with any company, its imperative is to maximize profits. It's not out there trying to cause harm or anything like that, but no one would pretend that it's a not-for-profit. Whereas OpenAI had that much clearer public benefit intent, and that was the obligation right from the board down to make sure that they were making good on that intent. So what this means when you have Sam Altman and no doubt a significant team going inside Microsoft is that those people will have to pursue that commercial imperative quite zealously.
There has been so much concern about artificial intelligence, how far it could go. What are the implications of a private company taking on Sam Altman and reshaping the future of this tech landscape?
Look, I think it's really early days. We're at, I would say, the Wright brothers stage if you're comparing us to aviation when it comes to generative AI. So it's incredibly impressive what it can do now, but it's also subject to some pretty fundamental errors, some hallucination, all kinds of pretty basic things that go wrong. But we're on this trajectory where it's improving very, very quickly, and increasingly it's being integrated into so many of the products and services that are just the basic ones. So if you're a bank, if you're an insurance company, if you're a cafe, whatever your line of work is, increasingly you're going to be relying on generative AI like ChatGPT. So if that is true, if we continue on that trajectory, I think what we'll need to look at AI is being like electricity. It's so fundamental to everything that we do that it needs to be quite tightly regulated to make sure that everyone has access to it on fair terms.
And so here at home, the federal government is considering how best to regulate the industry. Is it a more pressing discussion now as a consequence of the weekend's events?
I think what we saw with OpenAI really reflects something very profound, and that is that if you're relying on companies through their corporate structure to do the right thing of their own accord, that puts an enormous responsibility on company directors and other senior leaders to perhaps pursue two things that are inherently in tension. That is maximising profits and making sure that they're doing the best by humanity. What regulation can do really effectively is that it can put some guardrails in respect of innovation and to make sure that companies are not in any way disadvantaged by pursuing innovation that is beneficial for humanity, that doesn't cause harm, that sort of thing. And that's really important. And that's why I think the events of the last few days really should supercharge this debate we're having about regulation for AI.